What is going on, guys? It's Adam and Marv. Today, we are going to cover everything from Pearl Harbor shutting down for an unspecified reason to hacks all over the place, including huge swaths of the internet getting shut down. What's next? We'll be right back. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam and Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Just a word before the show. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show, including our wonderful mods. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news. Please take everything with a grain of salt. Also remember, though, that we actually back up what we say with as much as we can on our website. So if you go to marfooglenews.com, you'll actually be able to follow along. So if you're new here, once you go to marfooglenews.com, you'll see it's very easy to navigate. Look for tonight's thumbnail, unspecified security issue. And then when you click on that, you will see it goes to a link. It goes to all of the links of every single video, every single tweet, every single document that we show you here is going to be right there on the website. Not only that, you will actually have all of the callers there. This is a call-in show tonight. The number is 224-400-MARF. This is actually updated live during the show. So by the end of it, if a YouTuber like Jacob Israel or somebody else calls in, their information, their channel info will all be right there. If it's just an average Joe, if they have a link that they share with us or something that they want everybody to see, will all be there as well. So thank you, everybody that's already in here. About 1,000 people have popped in right off the bat. Daniel Lazarus has just popped up with this super chat, $1 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Average Jeff Homesteader Prepper, thank you so much for being the last one out. Says, shout out to the best news around. Well, thank you. And if you want to support the best news around, if you consider us that or even one of your favorite channels, both Dex and I would definitely have you go over here. If you want to support us in any way, we are truly independent. We don't have a multi-channel network. You are our backbone. So one way to do this is to go through one of our affiliates. I think that's the best way because not only do you get a huge discount on all of the products, but then you also help us with a small commission on those as well. Yeah, I think it's a win-win. It doesn't hurt you. It actually helps you, and it helps us at the same time. Otherwise, there's PayPal, Amazon links. If you do shop with Amazon, click that little box before you do it, and you'll be helping the show at no extra cost. All right, thank you. And again, we're trying to open up our platform. We need many, many volunteers. So if you, in the near future, if you want a purpose, stick around. It's going to be fun. All right, let's bring in Dex. Dex is my co-host. He'll also be on the phones at 224-400-MARF, and he is also my internet brother. What's going on, Dex, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So we've got a lot of news to cover. Again, at the very end, we'll cover the Too Hot for TV stuff as well. That's on the website. Lots of really crazy stuff going on right now. In fact, the stuff we can cover is crazy enough. So let's get right into it. Tough fight looms against ransomware epidemic. We have covered some of these attacks, and being real with you, this is getting it's really disturbing that we are so dependent on the internet and so dependent on these systems. We just had, in the last month, we had half of the infrastructure for our fuel lines on the East Coast shut down digitally. This caused gas shortages all over the East Coast. It caused $5, $6 gallons. I mean, that's absolutely insane. That's if you could get gas. People were, of course, taking advantage of it, selling a 5-gallon bucket of gas for $200 and stupid crap like that. So when you have, of course, situations like that, you're going to bring out the worst in everyone. Now, I say that is not the worst it can get. We're talking about massive power failure is a possibility. We've seen it in other countries. Other countries that I've heard people I see on Twitter that go, Venezuela is a third world country. Venezuela was one of the richest countries out there. They actually did have a lot of their good stuff together. There's countries that have modeled their power grids after us that have gone down. So again, it's not like we are past this. In fact, because we are so advanced, I think that is one of our weaknesses. So I think people really need to start paying attention to this. I think that also people need to be ready for anything, natural disasters, earthquakes, tornadoes, whatever it is. If you're here, you're not considered crazy for wanting to prepare and have a responsible kind of look at this and say, hey, I think we should be responsible about this and, have some extra stuff. Again, I think that a lot of people look at preppers as, crazy or over the top or whatever. After the CV, I don't think I think they're starting to come around. I think they're starting to realize that the world, the entire globe, can be turned upside down in just a matter of weeks, if not days, if not minutes. We just had huge internet swaths go down. We'll talk about that here in a minute. It says the latest wave of ransomware attacks hitting the United States and globally portends a difficult battle against hackers, even as government and the private sector ramp up defenses. Now, remember, part of this is that they're going to come in, the governments of the world, and they're going to come in and work with the private sector. What that also means is that the internet is about to get some changes. Not all good, if you know what I mean. In fact, a bunch of people actually were just tracked for 3 years using a certain app that was for that they thought was like anonymous. It was actually tracking in real time all of their messages. So I think there's a lot more changes that are going to happen like that in the near future. So again, I would just consider, if you're on the internet, you're in a public space, really. That's how somewhat it should be. It's like it's our new street corner. It says the attacks hitting the Colonial Pipeline and the major JBS meatpacking operations are example of a burgeoning cybercrime industry with the potential to inflict pain and extract profits by impacting, quote, critical networks, experts say. Other recent targets include local governments, hospitals, insurers, a ferry system, and others in the United States and globally, with many attacks attributed to the Russia-based hackers operating with at least tacit approval from the Kremlin. I don't know how they can say that when publicly they're saying that. I don't know. Okay, Dex, maybe, do you know what tacit means? Maybe you could... I don't know if you can look that up. What does tacit means? Does that mean like passively, like saying they're not, what do you call it? They're not condoning it, but they're not going against it, I guess. I don't know. It says at least $18 billion was paid to ransomware attackers last year, according to security firm Emasoft, which found, quote, tens of thousands of victims so far in 2021. Ransomware is hitting epidemic proportions, and businesses, as usual, isn't going to cut it, said Frank Calufo, director of Auburn University's Cyber and Critical Infrastructure Security Department. It says Param Afikahari, chairman of the Institute for Critical Infrastructure Technology, a think tank focused on cybersecurity, noted that a rush to digitalization of more systems has opened up more avenues for hackers. This is exactly what we've been saying for a long time. They're digitalizing almost everything, and they are making us dependent completely on these systems. It's really, I guess, they did it a lot faster than we were even prepared for. Once something is able to be digitalized, it's like they don't think about, they think about security as an afterthought almost. So what do you think about this? I'm going to go over to the chat here in a second. I do want to welcome everybody that has popped in already. Thank you so much for everybody that's here. We've got Bill Jacaruso, Pamela and Joe Lee, Pi Evans. We've got Flyboy1960. We've got Kim O'Donnell, Nick Stokes, Frankly 777. We've got Zenato019, Moving Mountains. What's going on? It's nice to see you here again. Twisted Luck Truth. We've got Little Stumpy and Ned, NED, Lyrology. I totally messed that one up. Smokey Blazer, Gail King, Hillbilly. Let's go. Brett Hines, Stuart Walker. Thank you, everybody that has come tonight. Mama Dean says the Bee administration couldn't run a lemonade stand. Well, again, everyone has their opinions. Soul Woman, Well, I don't know. 25 cents. I don't know. I don't know. If there was change involved, maybe not. Mariano Rosario, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the channel. We've got Andres86. Thank you so much. As always, if you subscribe during the live show, you will get a shout out. We have over 2,000 watching now. Thank you, everybody, for popping in. Soul Woman, thank you for your support. Massive support with no comment. Anna Trejo, thank you for your support as well. James Sudrith, and again, Daniel Lazarus. Thank you so much for starting that off. As far as these hacks go, This isn't the end of it. Everybody is going to tell you the same thing. This is the beginning. With solar winds that accessed everywhere, just to break down for anybody that's new or didn't hear about that broke into all 5 military branches. That broke into everything. That broke into the Pentagon. That broke into most of the top 500 Fortune 500 companies. So all those places that you have your internet info with, the places that you trust because it has a little lock symbol and it's secure and all of that, the places that you shop with, almost all of them got hacked and had some sort of backdoor through the same system that they were actually trying to protect themselves with. So we have a huge ordeal here. Now, all of a sudden, after solar winds and after AT&T and Tennessee and all that stuff, all of that happened, all of a sudden, we have hacks left and right. And, of course, it's all pointing towards Russia. Some of the ways that they decided it was Russia is because one of the hacks only left the Russian-speaking computers, or the computers with Russian as the standard language on that computer. It left those computers alone. So at one point they were like, yeah, it's got to be them. They left their own people alone, right? And I'm like, how obvious is that, to leave all Russian-speaking computers alone? Like, they're trying to do a signature. I mean, they could probably figure out, these guys are smart enough to shut down Colonial Pipeline. You'd think they would be smarter to leave a more exact kind of signature. That was kind of like, maybe it's just a big FU in their face or something. I don't know. But on top of this, we have more coming. Everybody sees it. The writing is on the wall, and people are going to tell you that you're crazy for saying all of this, and your friends and family are all saying that you're nuts. I don't think you're nuts. I think that we're way ahead of this, and you are too. All of us know something bigger is coming. All of us know that this is just the beginning. We have a completely digital society, and there's always going to be, if something is extremely good, there's going to be someone who's extremely bad. So somebody is going to take advantage of this newly digitalized society. And now it's happening. And solar winds, that was one of the most major break-ins we've ever seen in history. And who knows? Maybe it's our own government. Maybe it's groups that are above the law. Who knows? They say it's this. Again, we'll link what the official story is so you can see for yourself. And I'll ask you if you believe everything that is going out there. Lyndon Merle and Richard Gilmore and Monique Gonzalez, Shane Griswax, thank you so much for just subscribing. So just one little part more. It says the Justice Department said Monday it recovered more than half of the $4.4 million ransom paid by Colonial Pipeline in a rare success story. The recovery of the ransom is obviously a positive, as it signals to cyber criminals that their ill-gotten plans or gains are not necessarily beyond the reach of law enforcement, said Brett Callow, analyst at security firm Emisoft. How did they get it back? One question that I don't hear too many people saying is, it sounds kind of fishy that they were able to get it back, right? Almost like almost like it was on purpose or something. I don't know. Anyways, but I'll let you guys decide. 60 members of Congress from both parties victims of latest ransomware attack. Okay, so you have infrastructure, you have more infrastructure, you have food infrastructure, and then, of course, local governments. Now you have big government. It says another ransomware attack. 60 members of Congress from both parties are left unable to access data for weeks in latest cyber attack. At least 60 members of Congress from both parties have been unable to access data for weeks in the latest ransomware attack to strike the United States. The target was iConstituent, a tech vendor that provides constituent outreach services to dozens of House offices, including a newsletter service that allows lawmakers to communicate with residents in their districts, and of course, a service to track constituent casework. It says it's the latest cyber attack after a series of hacks against the U.S. executive branch, and American companies have left many institutions feeling vulnerable, and the admin struggling to deal with the situation. Of course, probably because he's running the lemonade stand. You can't really do two businesses at once. It's really hard. At this time, the CAO is not aware of any impact to House data. The CAO is coordinating with the impacted offices supported by iConstituent and has taken measures to ensure that the attack does not affect the House network and office's data, and the office, of course, said in the statement. Okay, so do you think that they didn't get in at all? I guess we'll have to see. Would they tell the public if they had a major break-in and a ton of other information besides the stuff that they're telling us? I don't think so, because honestly, I think anything like this, they feel like they're probably not looking so smart here. So let's see. Susan Bailey Kupti, thank you so much for supporting there, and Alexander Paris, thank you for subscribing. Now, Dex, and feel free to pop in. I know that the phones are already off the hook. If you do want to call in tonight about any of these subjects, or if you have information, call in at 224400-MARF. That's again 224400-6273. And then when you get to our phone tree, make sure to press 4, and you'll actually get Dex. And then, okay, Dex, I don't know if you saw my tweets on this. So I'm going to go over to the tweets here. I'm going to go to my channel. Now, I'll show you why I thought this, and again, I don't know if I was right. You guys can totally correct me live on air, and I will correct myself. Let's see here. Let's go to Marfoogle. Bam. All right, so here is my Twitter, and I'll show you just 2 days ago. Let's see if I can go back that far. There's actually some pretty interesting stuff here. Okay, so about 2 days ago, Elon Musk, I'll show you this original tweet. Elon Musk tweeted Canada, USA, and Mexico. And again, we've heard any stuff about AMC and everything else, and I thought America, America, Mexico, Canada, AMC. And I said, this was the time-stamped current price of it, $47.91. It was down 6.868 cents. It says, telling people to buy AMC stock on its crash, signaling. And then, of course, right after that, funny enough, the next day, it ended up rallying, and it was up 15%. Now, if somebody bought one share, they would be up, $10-12. But to go up 15% in a single day like that, I don't know if that's because he tweeted, or I'm sorry, because he talked about it in an interview, and then maybe some took that as that. I don't know. You guys can, if you are an expert on this situation, Dex, of course, probably has some sort of debunk here. But again, I just thought it was funny. I tweeted that, and then all of a sudden it went up. It went up to $55. So if you did drop $1 billion in this stock, imagine the gains you would have overnight, and then sell it back. Just a thought. Again, he has talked about AMC stock before, and again, what else was the point of that? Of course, everybody has a thing like, oh, well, later he clarified he was just saying the 3 country names because those are his favorite countries or something. Elon does these weird cryptic tweets. Not only that, if he tweets something negative about Bitcoin, Bitcoin crashes. If he does something positive about Bitcoin, it goes shooting up. Now, it's so much manipulation that they're talking about changing rules of what you can say about stocks, and they're trying to go after them. I think this is almost a setup to change what we can even say about financials and only let certain people say things, or I don't know. I don't know how this is going to end. I'll go over to the chat here and see what you guys are saying, because obviously there's a lot of smart people in my audience, much smarter than myself. One on B, hey, Julie Starbuck, Mrs. and Mrs. watching, Mr. and Mrs. watching. What's going on? Michael Dudas, Snaps, Holiday Kisser, HW Liberty, thank you so much for being here. Jason Saban, good one, Marv. Eric M, blonde dude, I bought silver. Defrustrated says, woohoo, I got the hello from Boob YouTube. This chat was gone yesterday. A lot of weird stuff going on. Let's see here. They do not know what happened with GameStop. Too many rich people lost money. Oh, with GameStop and all of that? Yeah. Cam Exica, Zenato. Mummers is smart. I guess that's Musk Eloners and bummers. I don't know. Either way, it says, as AMC Entertainment stock surges, SEC says it's watching memes for disruptions of the market, manipulative trading, and other misconduct. It says the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission warned Monday that it is closely monitoring frenetic moves in the stock market amid a stratospheric surge in values of memes, stocks, AMC Entertainment, and GameStop Corporation. SEC staff continues to monitor the market in light of the ongoing volatility in certain stocks to determine if there have been any disruptions, of course, of the market. We will act to protect retail investors if violations of federal securities laws are found, said the SEC in a statement provided by the regulator's spokesman. So there are so many people that are gathering on Reddit. And by the way, this just want to remind people, Dex, remember how we found out that China currently has 1 million people on their payroll that are strictly for online, online. Their whole job is to go online and to go fish through things. They can help the government actually push their narratives, all sorts of stuff. It's like a 1 million strong propaganda team. But think about if 1 million people you had on the payroll affect things like stock, or say, hey, this stock is going up, and they each had 5 or 6 fake accounts that they're boosting up, or they have bot accounts, and each one of them is programming bots. Then you have so many accounts saying, hey, this stock is going to go, this stock's going to go, and then it artificially goes up the day after they, of course, can invest in it. It would way outpay what they're paying for these 1 million people, right? Especially when they can pay dirt cheap to put these guys on a computer. And then, of course, when you're saying for each person putting this out there, and when they get what they're doing, think about it, if they even paid them $100 a day. If they're talking in billions, that would be nothing. They could pay all 1 million people enough to actually live well in China and still alter the course of stocks. It's kind of a crazy thing to say, and it also could possibly collapse everything if things continue to go like this. Cheers, blind dude. What's going on, Mr. Huslim? Mrs. Marf is in the chat. Thank you for being here, hon. Susan, able-bodied. Joey Gouda. Nicole Reyes. We've got Jamie Wilson here as well. Thank you, guys. Heidi Jenkins, thank you so much for stopping in. Dope Heathen, thank you. All of you guys are awesome. What do you think about it? All right, Dex is going to get our first caller ready, but first I do want to remind you there's only 2 days left on the EMP contest. If you don't know what an EMP shield is, you should definitely go over and check it out. EMP Shield is one of the few companies that is actually working with agencies like DHS, Department of Homeland Security, DOD, and now officially on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. This device, depending on which one you actually get, can protect you against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. This is, again, a very professional device. They're not cheap, but they do what they say they're going to do. It also can protect you against something like a Carrington event, a solar flare, up to 228,000 amps. It's 100% American made. It's veteran-owned. Again, why we have bugged them, we actually hopped on a contest. So we want and encourage everybody to go over to marfooglenews.com/contest to try to win one. I think that it is imperative that as many people get these as possible. And if that means winning it through a contest, whatever you have to do, we try to get as many of these contests done as possible to get as many out as possible for those that can afford one. Again, there's multiple ways to enter, including daily bonus entries. People have been doing it all month. I hope you guys have. You have a really good chance of winning. This is also run. We actually jumped on to Stephen Benoon and INL's contest, so they let us on it so we could also benefit our audience as well. You must go to marfooglenews.com/contest. Make sure to head over there soon. If you just want to get one straight out for your car, your generator, for your house, for your boat, for your solar system, go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, let's get our first caller on, and it looks like we have Judy Dowles Homestead, and has some tips and giving away some stuff. It looks like, calling from Ohio, and then on deck is Mr. Mission Control, cybersecurity topics from Arkansas. Judy, you're live on Marfoogle News. What's going on? It looks like
Judy was live, and we'll be back in just a second.
There we go. All right, you were muted, I think. What is going on, Judy, and how are you doing?
Hey, I'm having a seed giveaway at Dowles Homestead on YouTube.
All right.
And I'm giving away a package deal worth over $150, and it'll end on the 12th of this month, and I'll announce the winner on the 13th. I'll put another video up to announce the winner. To enter, all they have to do is go to Dowles Homestead, and it's the only in America seed giveaway, and they can subscribe and comment to enter. And there's seeds from Baker Seeds and Annie Seeds, and there's a fall garden package from True Leaf Market that, matter of fact, it just arrived in the mail today. And that'll all go out together to one winner. There's one prize, and you can avoid the food shortages. You can plant your own seeds, grow your own food.
Well, I think it's absolutely amazing you're doing this. One thing too, are you very familiar? Are you a really good gardener? I know my wife has been doing it for about a year.
I've been gardening for about 50 years, so yeah.
Okay, so
I'd say so. I gardened last year with a broken pelvis and a walker.
Let me ask you.
I got out there and I planted the whole garden last year.
Let me ask you a question. We get a lot of people that live in apartments. Do you think that a question
on the balcony?
Well,
in the house.
Let me ask you this.
Next to a window.
Can you grow enough to support yourself if you only have one or two windows in the house? We get that a lot, that they don't have a balcony.
You can if you grow vertically and grow the right items.
Can you grow with lights?
You want to grow something with a high yield, like green beans or peas, or something that you'll like, something that you'll eat. And you can grow enough to sustain one person.
All right, well, fair enough. Because a lot of folks, they want to get into it. They watch all of these preppers and homesteaders, and they don't have a place to plant. And I get that email a lot saying, I have no place to grow it. What is another option too? I've heard of pea patches. Do you think pea patches is a bad idea? Because if anything hits the fan, you won't be able to, other people will be raiding it, or?
Well, I don't have that problem because I'm out in the Tules. So I don't have people around, I have deer, but I don't have a problem with people. In the city, it might get tough. You might have to pretty much chain link it, enclose it somehow.
Well, now again, this channel is going to be linked on our website, Dowell's Homestead. I want to thank you, Judy, for calling in and letting us know about this. Is there one more thing you want to say before you go?
Just, I love your channel. I listen to you regularly.
All right, well, this definitely deserves a good love mob. Head over to Dowell's Homestead and subscribe. Again, the link will be on the website. I don't have very many people, so that's all right.
It'd be a good time for people to subscribe. They have a good chance of winning.
Well, and again, I think that's a perfect reason to do it too. You don't have to be big to be putting out quality. So thank you again, Judy, for calling in. I appreciate you, and good luck on this. I can't wait to hear. If you want, when you do this, you could also call in and announce it here if you wanted to as well.
Okay, I'll do that. Right now I'm in the hospital, so I'm calling from my hospital bed.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear that.
But I'll be home. I'll be home. I'm just getting ready to go through some cancer therapy and get this treated. Get it whooped again. It's not my first rodeo, so I'm going through it. Well, and if I can garden with cancer, anybody can garden. I'm 65 years old, and I'm still out there doing it. And I put up my food. I dehydrate. I'll be putting up videos all year of me dehydrating food and stuff to teach people how to do these things.
Well, Judy, thank you. And again, one other thing I would ask people to do if you don't go to their channel is go and pray for Judy. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, I'm praying for you. Bye-bye. If you can, or whatever your personal beliefs that you have, send whatever positive towards her. That she's really positive, and especially as many of you who have watched my channel, I have gone through several of my personal friends having cancer and acquaintances that it really hits me hard. So she has a great attitude. That's the attitude you have to have of any kind of cancer, whatever stage it is. I've seen people with stage 4 cancer, and they're just the happiest people in the world, and it's very hard for anybody else to realize how they can be in that way. But that's, again, where we should all try to be. Even if you have a month left or 10 years left or whatever, we're all going to go. That's why I don't get why people call it fear-mongering or this or that. Don't be afraid. You're much more likely to be hit by a car walking outside your house or be T-boned at a stoplight than you are, having China invade. But if China invades or if something like that happens, I would definitely want to know every step of the way so I could prepare and try to protect the ones I love. Most of us actually care a lot more than about the people around us. We worry about what would happen if we pass away, what would happen to them. You know what I mean? In fact, I think a lot of people think about that more than, what happens to them after they're gone, how sad other people will be. Because you know how sad you were when somebody else passed away. I think we need to take the fear out of prepping and out of, coming end times, if you're an end times believer. In fact, if you're religious, then end times should be a good thing, not a bad thing. Shouldn't be something that you're scared of. All right, let's get back to the news. Thank you, Heather Kibler, Anthony Harmon, and Leah Storm for subscribing. Welcome. Sherry Carroll. I'm a prepper. He's a prepper. She's a prepper. Wouldn't you like to be a prepper too? I like that. We're gonna write that down. Scott Wilson, thank you so much for your support. You can always write a message there if you'd like. If you support, you can always do that. Antoinette Tom, Rob Guts, thank you for subscribing. And Vic Santiago, thank you, says the end is near. Right there. Jesse HD, thank you for subscribing. Melissa Waters says, I want to thank you for all your hard work and informative news. It truly is the beginning of the end. Be aware of your surroundings and stay alert. We got so many new subscribers. I don't know where the heck they're coming from. Lendon Merle, thank you. Hadassah Purim, Morlano Rosario, Shane, and another Richard, thank you so much. Robert Willis, I think that's an old subscriber. I think you're back. Anthony Harmon, thank you. All right, hold on. Before we go to the top U.S. General Kenneth McKenzie warns of Russia and Chinese influence in the I country. I definitely want to shout out Lisa K. 23. We've got AR-15. Teach our kids survival skills because math is not going to save us, save their life, protect the next generation. That is right. Kishara, thank you so much for your support. Says all being programmed to mistrust and separate all. Well, that's why I don't get, like, everybody is saying this is distraction, this is distraction. If you're trained to think everything is distraction, then you won't even have your own view of anything. You're not going with your gut. You have to go with your gut about what is actually happening on some of this stuff. 99% of the time, would you guys not agree that when you see a narrative and you know that it's wrong, the news is telling you one thing and you're seeing the obvious and you're going, how can people not see this? How many times in the last year and a half have you said, wow, the real thing is right there in front of you, but if they say it's something else, 99% of the people are going, yeah. It's like they don't go with their gut. Go with your gut. If it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. It's not a bald eagle, okay? It's very, I think it's easier than people think to find out what's really going on. And in fact, a lot of people have made comments, higher up people have made comments like that I'm like out of place. General Kenneth McKenzie, head of the U.S. Central Command, which we've actually gone over, NORCOM, Northern Command, Central Command, all these people are coming out and saying these weird comments. This isn't so much weird, this is kind of expected. Kenneth McKenzie, head of the U.S. Central Command, giving a briefing on SA Arabia on Monday, where he learned that the I ran to the store activities could lead to instability in the Middle East as U.S. troops withdraw from AF. The Jerusalem Post reported the general also cited Russia and China as key players whose influence would affect I ran to the store's action. McKenzie said that the two nations have noticed a decline in U.S., quote, engagement in the Middle East as troops have withdrawn from Afghanistan, and of both are aiming for more influence in the region. China in particular has engaged with the Middle East through a global infrastructure plan known as the Belt and Road Initiative, which was adopted by its government in 2013. It says, quote, China engaged with nearly every country in the region in 2020 using expletive debt traps, the Belt and Road Initiative, and medical diplomacy with their V, which has dubious efficacy, to try to expand its influence, McKenzie said. Russia's influence in the Middle East has increased since it first intervened in 2015, sending a limited number of ground troops and its air force to aid the civil conflict there, the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace reported. Russia is equally disruptive in the region, and their engagements are largely opportunistic and transactional. It says, quote, Russia seeks ways to position itself as an alternative to the West by offering mediate regional conflicts, selling arms, offering military expertise, and participating in regional and multilateral organizations to advance their interests. So basically, they're coming in. We're about to shake hands. They come in between and say, hey, I'll give you a better deal, buddy. Oh, you need a V? I'll give you a V. We'll give you a better V that doesn't have trackers. You know, who knows? Now, Dex, I don't know if you're on the phone, but if you want to pop in, I know that you had some stuff before the show to say about this. And it looks like you are actually getting...
Hey, Adam.
Hey, so we're on the, of course, Russia and China and the Middle E and everything that's going on over there. You had something that you wanted to say about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're getting, again, more signals, more information. In this case, another top general talking about it and, giving us the warning that he's calling it influence. But I think the thing that we have to understand is it's always about, proxy, right? And we've seen that with other countries in the Middle East. And, we'll see that even through NK, right? Where, actions are really happening. But sometimes they're really not just the country. It's really more of, the coalition that may be happening amongst their own allies, right? For their own objectives and goals. So I think that's sort of what we're hinting at here. And we just need to be well aware that there is, the I country is really, in bed, so to speak, with both Russia and China.
So, yeah, and that's a change from 10 years ago. It's like they just kind of swooped in. Also, the South Americas had several countries that the U.S. pulled back from. And I believe, just as we called, they swooped in and supported that trio of countries. Or at least that's what the rumor has it. Dex, do you remember that when the U.S. stopped funding? And I don't know if you actually remember the three places' names. But South America or Central America, right?
Yes, it was in Central America.
Central America.
I don't remember exactly which countries, but yes, it was all.
And
Central
now
America.
There's rumors that there's bases being built. It's like the second we leave, they're like, "Hey, I'll grease your palms. Let me put some tanks there," which also gives merit to all these other rumors that we had down south. These sightings of different tanks and things like this. It's like all of this stuff that. Was even fact-checked back in the day is now like, oh, so are they going to reverse that fact-check? Are they going to put back the creators that said that and, question that a couple of years ago? It's quite weird. We even have officials, U.S. officials, saying that they believe that China and Russia are coordinating down below our border.
Well, and speaking of border, those countries, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, are the ones I believe they're in that triad of Central America. And that's also where we have seen and probably are still seeing those convoys that are coming up to the border. Those are usually coming from one of those countries. So there's also something to be said or to be looked at on whether or not other outside countries are influencing them. And those people are also trying to cross into or, go across our borders for whatever reason. Now,
Dex, that reminds me of something else. Is it possible that you could research what in between calls about the I country and how their ship just sank and caught fire and all of that? If there's any update officially on what happened, what they say happened, because
I'll look.
4 days before that, we showed you last week that 4 days before this ship sank, that they turned a huge tanker into a forward operating base. They covered it with basically kind of an aircraft carrier top, and they had all of this gear and helicopters and things like this on it, and they were moving that, and we were monitoring it. Once we came out and said, hey, we're monitoring this ship, they responded and said, hey, we're Freedom of Water Act or Freedom of Navigation. Don't mess with us. They were headed towards Venezuela, which they're teamed up right now. They both have all these different financial things going on that are similar and sanctions with I and all that. 4 days later, magically, one of their largest Navy ships catches fire and sinks. It's like, that's one of the ones where it's like, it's right in front of your face, but they say, oh, it's not connected. It just, laser sharks got at it, because laser sharks are real. Just want to clarify, laser sharks are not real. For those who, God bless their souls. Anticipating war with China, the U.S. Air Force is spreading across the Pacific. Now, it says for years the U.S. Air Force has concentrated its planes at just 2 bases in the Western Pacific. For fighters, Kadena Air Force Base in Japan's Okinawa Prefecture, Guam's Anderson Air Force Base for boomers and big support planes. Beijing eyed these mega bases and devised a simple strategy for suppressing U.S. air power in the region. Build a couple thousand non-nuclear ballistic missiles, and in conflict time, lob them at the bases until their runways, aprons, hangars, fuel tanks, and warehouses are nothing but craters. After years of buildup, the Chinese rocket force possesses around 1,300 ground-launched missiles with sufficient range to hit Kadena and Anderson from mainland China, thus basically making those bases kind of, not very efficient. It says the USAF is keenly aware of the threat. It has its own plan for dodging the missile barrages. The idea is to spread out hundreds of conflict planes across potentially dozens of smaller bases, thus diluting the striking power of China's rocket force. It says the Air Force won't say exactly which bases are part of its plan, but it's possible to make educated guesses. American territories and small island countries offer the most dependable facilities. Arguably, the most important bases in the Philippines are accessible only at the whim of the country's mercurial president. It also says the emerging map of the USAF's expanding base network also reveals that where the service has potential airfield gaps. Specifically in the Philippine Sea of the Taiwan, it's there in that gap that the U.S. Navy's Pacific Fleet might lend its sister service a helping hand and deploy some of its 10 aircraft carriers and big deck assault ships. So, obviously, that also puts all of these smaller places in danger as well. If you think about that, and this is public knowledge, so then therefore China is going to redo their chalkboard, and they're going to put a lot more targets into the crosshairs. So, again, we have shown you every single piece of writing on the wall. It's like a big mural the size of the Great Wall of China. In fact, all of the writing on the wall probably wouldn't even fit on that Great Wall. I think that people are afraid of conflict, and they're so afraid that they immediately come at it with anger, saying, oh, you're this and that, fear-mongering. I hate that word. It's like, it's pretty obvious that it's been a long time since WW2. Everything is coming together on this. And we're so far away from the last conflict that we are just totally trained to think that now we're civilized. I've actually heard people say, well, now we're civilized. You don't think we were civilized in the 40s? Like, we were getting, it's not, we didn't have technology like we did today, but we were civilized people. It doesn't matter how advanced our technology gets. Humans take out other humans. Humans don't agree. Humans want power. Humans are greedy. Humans are evil. There are both of, there's amazing people and there are evil people. And they're all around you. You don't know who you're sitting next to on the bus. You could be sitting next to a Bundy on the bus. So don't think that time changes anything. Human beings haven't changed, and that means we will have a conflict. And especially with now, by the way, I wonder if they ended up responding. I wonder if a teacher said that they had friends in China. I'm going to check if they gave me permission to repeat what they said. If not, I won't say it. But let's see here. They have friends in China, and their friends are apparently kind of, I guess, on top of what's going on there. Let's see here. They might even be watching right now. Okay, absolutely. Okay, they responded, and I won't say your name or anything. This is a teacher again, says, by the way, news from my friends in Wuhan is that people are openly discussing that Xi and possibly the CP has lost the mandate of heaven. He is getting ready to do something to show he still has it. The deal with Pak and Afghan won't be enough. So if you know about the mandate of heaven, we've talked about it here before. Dax, I don't know if you want to chime in on the mandate of heaven. On some of the previous things we've said about this, he has publicly told his military to get ready for conflict. You have their foreign minister telling the troops, get ready, even telling them to talk to their family members and to make sure to write home if they're off on missions in the last 6 months, saying like, hey, say goodbye. Now, a lot of people consider that as propaganda and like saber rattling and to shake, to make us shake in our boots because they're getting serious. I would say, let's ask you guys, what do you have to say? Go ahead.
And real quick, just to give the background on it, it's an old political philosophy, but G and others have really latched on to it, and it basically says that there's only one legitimate ruler, and that it's China, and China has the I guess ruling of the universe, so to speak, right? And that's what they should be going after. I'm paraphrasing a little bit there, but it's generally around that.
Now, I'll try to pull up kind of a wiki on it so people can see that. I'll just read the first part of this to describe what the mandate of heaven is. It says, the mandate of heaven is a Chinese political philosophy that was used in ancient and imperial China to justify the rule of the king or emperor of China. According to this doctrine, heaven, which embodies the natural order of the will of the universe, bestows the mandate on a just ruler of China, the, quote, son of heaven. This sounds like some NK stuff, but this is Xi is a big fan of this. And by the way, he has made himself ruler for the rest of his life. He quoted that when he was doing so as well. It says this was interpreted as an indication that the ruler was if a ruler was overthrown, this was interpreted as an indication that the ruler was unworthy. So if the people think that he lost the mandate of heaven, that he's lost some of his power, that's not good. And had lost the mandate. It was also a common belief that natural disasters such as famine and flood were divine retributions bearing signs of heaven's displeasure with the ruler. Think about all the floods and the things that have happened in China. They had all sorts of weird things. So them in their culture, when they see that, they say, okay, heaven's not happy with us right now. Think about what we have seen. Even just huge, weird things happening there. It says, so there would be revolts following major disasters as the people saw these calamities as signs that the mandate of heaven had been withdrawn.
Which is the sentiment you just said people were having in that town.
Which we actually covered. Oh my gosh. It's, yeah. Man, this whole thing is just so beyond weird and old school, but new school. It's like, so they're spreading out, and then of course global glitch. Swaths of internet go down after cloud outage. I've been watching a show. I am, of course, and I told you guys this, that I did break down and got Netflix again. I did cancel it for a few months after, I want to say, was it Cuties or one of the, we all protested and canceled our thing. We actually canceled it for like 2 or 3 months. Then we needed it for our kids, and there was favorite movies that we couldn't get anywhere else, so we ended up getting it back. There's a show that's on right now that is called Sweet Tooth. And I do believe in predictive programming. I do believe that there's a lot of stuff that are either they're predictive or they're prophetic. Sweet Tooth shows the world ending from a virus, and they call it HG29 or something, and that it knocks out, almost everybody. But at the same time the virus happens, there are these children born that are half animal, and all of them have different variations of mutations of animals, and they're of course immune to the different things. In that, they say many times they talk about it. They say once the internet was gone, it all went downhill. Like everything, once the internet went down, it was over. Everybody lost connection and turned into tribes and all of this. If you haven't seen it, or if you're still boycotting it, I don't blame you. But it is actually at least an entertaining show. But it is very creepy, all of the stuff in there. And it follows this kid that's half deer around with this ex-football star, and it sounds corny, but if you have seen it, then it was at least very well directed and very realistic scenes of the end of the world. Now, when the internet does go down, I don't think people realize how much this has been ingrained in our society. It's really it's quite scary how much we are now indebted to the internet. By the way, Chicky R says hot and sticky, covered in cicadas in Maryland. By the way, we covered the cicadas yesterday or the day before. Such a huge cloud of cicadas, cicada, potato, whatever you want to call it, that the local weather radar picked it up. That's biblical. Bear Claws, thank you so much. Chicky R, thank you for the support. D Frustrated says China has 2 huge prop own next 2 mil bases on the border. Oh, okay. Properties owned next to military bases in the border, which, by the way, China and Canada have a deal where if they have buildings there in Canada, this is an actual treaty they have with them. They could be right up against the U.S. border, have a huge property that the Chinese government owns, and they did a treaty to where they can bring in troops or anybody to protect those properties, and they do not have to tell the local authorities. If they feel that it is just to protect that property or their investments or their interests there, they can bring in however many people as possible through a private plane, and they do not have to tell authorities. If you don't believe me, do some research. It's a real thing. So a lot of people believe that there are a lot of bases along our top half, and we're all worried about down there. Again, thank you, Defrustrated, Bear Claw, Scooby-Doo Do-Right, Divine 1122, Toadman, Griffle, thank you, everybody that's over on D-Live. Thirsty Fox, thank you for following. Caffeinated Squirrel, thank you for the lemons. Hopkinson, Mersa1, thank you for the lemons. JMB53, 1 on B, Mersa1, again, thank you. So with this huge outage, it says dozens of websites briefly went offline around the globe Tuesday, including CNN, the New York Times, and Britain's government home page, after an outage at the cloud service Fastly, illustrating how vital a small number of behind-the-scenes companies have become in running the internet. These sites that could not be reached also included some Amazon pages, the Financial Times, Reddit, Twitch, and The Guardian. One question is, you do that whole group. What if there was something that was put out on Reddit that wasn't supposed to be seen? I always wonder, and this is the theorist, right? If, certain shutdowns, like all of YouTube, which is very hard to do, regional, they're all separated through these regional things. So when you get a global shutdown of a platform, you wonder, was this done because something was out and they had to clean it up? I do wonder this, and I'm sure others do as well. What if something got out onto Reddit or one of these platforms and they didn't want it there and they had to manually go in, and because things spread like wildfire, they had to go in and track everything down? Kind of like if they go into a crime scene and there's something that's top secret. Say if, here's an example. So say there's an observatory and the guy at the observatory discovers there's a meteor heading towards Earth. And they come in hot with, helicopters and Black Hawks, and they get there, and the guy, is talking with 3 or 4 neighbors, and they're like, oh yeah, everybody in the neighborhood knows him. So then they go to all of the neighborhood people and say, hey, did you talk to him? Do you know him? Do you know anything? And if they did, then they take them with them too. What if there's a digital version of this where something gets out and then they have to track it down? I'm sure that has happened before. Is this related? I don't know. But I do believe that sometimes happens on major and massive platforms. And if you were to do that, just hypothetically, would you not close other stuff down so it's harder to pinpoint what they were actually going for? Because there's watchdogs all over the internet. Just a thought. Dex, I don't know if you have a thought on this. If the entire internet does go down, I think that people are going to be extremely, extremely surprised on how much it's going to affect our country and everything around us and our world. Dex, why don't we get the next caller on? It looks like
it's really funny. Sorry, Adam, I was talking and my button didn't work. It's really funny though, because if it did go down, like really, really went down the whole internet, then nobody would actually be able to know or confirm it because they wouldn't be able to communicate with anyone.
Yeah. I mean, people freak out when the tube shuts down for an hour. People freak out when, Twitter or another site like that goes down for a few minutes. Think about when it goes down somewhat permanently or just even for weeks, let alone forever.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our communication today, even voice, goes over IP, right? So, while a lot of it's going over fiber, there still is a lot of IP, that is used for all of that. So if the entire networks went down 100%, a lot of stuff just flat out would not work. Well, you wouldn't be able to figure it out.
And how many people have internet phone now? Instead of having a landline, they actually go with the internet package because it's cheaper, or they don't have a landline, or they don't even have a landline, period. They have a cell phone. Almost all families have replaced their landlines with personal cell phones. So instead of calling the house, which, some people, my uncle still has one, my aunt still has one, you can call their house. If they're not home, they don't answer, you can get the answering machine. Most people don't have that. They have a personal cell phone. So if you call and they hang up, your family's trying to avoid you, which, again, I'm sure most people in my audience, that's the case. But what's your opinion? Now, I'm going to ask a question before we go to our next caller, and I'm going to turn the chat on here so we can actually see the answers here. All right. All right, so I'm going to turn this back on. I'm going to take a vote here. So how many of you believe just in the... Yeah, okay, let's give a time frame. In the next 5 years that we will go to conflict with China. Specifically China, not involving Russia, specifically with China. Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no. That simple, just cut and dry. How many people think in the next 5 years we will go to conflict? Actually, 3 should be we are already at conflict with them. We just don't know. 1 is yes, 2 is no, 3 is we are already. Look at that. That's an unbelievable amount of ones there. So it's going to upload all of the previous ones there. Okay, look at all the 3s. That is incredible. Now, you won't, by watching the replay, you might not even understand. If you were watching the replay on the tube, you can go down and actually look at the live chat. This is going so fast, you can barely see the names. How many people are doing 3s? You'll be able to scroll for pages and pages and pages. This is a good kind of... a good way to kind of get a grasp on how many people believe that we are already at conflict with this country. That's a very, very scary thought. Now, speaking of cybersecurity, most of you already know, today's show is brought to you by NordVPN. If you would like to protect yourself, anyone and everyone should have a VPN if they spend any time online. Again, while we still have the internet, I would hope that you are protecting yourself on it. Make sure to go over to NordVPN and check them out. It's one of the easiest. That was one of the reasons we picked it, and it's one of the top rated. This is so easy that you don't have to be a computer nerd to get it. You download it. Literally, it's as easy as signing up for a YouTube channel. Just go and you just press on. It will do it for you, or you can do the advanced mode where you can pick whichever country you want, except for Russia. In fact, Russia, you can no longer go to their servers, which that's a sign in itself. But again, if you want to protect yourself and put your IP address in a random place and protect your actual address that's connected to that, you can do so with NordVPN. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Make sure to use the special savings code Marfoogle. Not only will you get a discount, but you'll be helping us with a small commission. You get a discount, we get a commission, and you help your favorite news agency. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it. Dex appreciates it. Thank you, and thank you. All right, let's get our next caller on. It looks like we have Mr. Mission Control, first-time caller.
Hey, Adam, Dex. Yeah, you can have access to the Russian space observing site and some other sites, and Yandex, you could tune. That's all translated to English, yeah. But I wanted to cover. In fact, that's how I came across this information about CERN. Was following. Well, I run Deep State Watchdogs, DAWGS, on the internet news sharing agency, and it dumps into Twitters. And anyway, I'm Mr. Mission Control on the tubes. I stream to 9 different platforms, and so I cover space weather, metaphysics, politics. But I got a couple guys that run Deep State Watchdogs for me pretty much all day long, all night. And I came across the information in late April of the Schumann. You talk about the Schumann spikes. Well, that's his geoelectric field spikes. And there's a couple places you can go to monitor that, the Russian Space Observatory website. And then there's a VLF, very low frequency, Cumania website. And then there's the main page where all the feeds from all the sensors around the Europe gathered, the different hertz levels of background electrical frequency and stuff, mainly for predicting and monitoring earthquakes. Okay, I used to be an earthquake predictor. I got like 10 Facebook groups and pages, and have a couple earthquake forecasting sites and stuff before I got into streaming, before I got into live streaming. But so there's the spikes in the geoelectric field in April and in May. Now, it hasn't really been doing it here lately, but we correlated that to a signal. It looks like a signal in the frequency. If you took screenshots and kept records of it, right? They have like one day and hourly displays and weekly and monthly displays on the frequency charts. So there was a frequency. There was an audible. If you ran it through software, you get an audible frequency. Well, my number one did that, and it came up with a website address. He said he clicked on it, and I have that address, but I won't reveal it. But I did the live stream one day, and he went to a worm, and worm invaded his laptop, burned his laptop up, and so that was right before the pipeline ransomware attack. And that correlated with a solar prominence, a solar flare, that an incoming CME, as you well know, 2 hours before or after the attack. I can't remember which, but we correlated that man-made frequency that was coming through the geoelectric field of the Schumann resonance to CERN aligning its new magnets and charging them up. Okay, correlated exactly to the dates, because you go to the CERN site, keep up with what they're doing. They no longer have a monitoring system where you can monitor the LCH and or the LHC and keep tabs on the beam dumps and all the frequency output, energy outputs, and stuff like that. Well, we know the beam dumps dump directly through the Earth and out to Fiji area around New Zealand there. When they have earthquake swarms is when they dump the beam. So we know they've had CERN online, even though they say they haven't for a little while. Now, the first scheduled beam to take place is in July 2nd. So real soon, they're going to be running new experiments. They said there's a lot of new things they can do with these high-powered magnets. Now, the fringe theory on CERN is that these magnets are so powerful that it could alter the geomagnetic field when powered up. And see, the beam in all the experiments is just a cover-up. The dimensional gates, the bringing dimensional entities in and harboring them in their data center there at CERN, that's real. But that's a cover-up for the magnets. What they're trying to do is preserve themselves, preserve the elite by preserving the geomagnetic field, keeping these solar flares that are coming, because we just jumped into solar maximum, and this is the fastest. I kept track of the last solar maximum, and we should be like a year or two into solar maximum with the activity we're seeing off the sun right now. We just come into solar maximum several months ago, solar cycle 24, I believe. So these C-class and M-class flares we're seeing are not. This is not a natural cycle. We are in some sort of new paradigm of solar activity, and like they say, we're approaching a singularity. Well, we might not totally understand black holes all the way, and one might be approaching us, or like Kishara. Kishara is a good friend of mine. I talk to her weekly sometimes, but I've known her for quite some time now. And asked her after the show you did the other day, I called her up and asked and texted her. I said, "So when did they tell you it was going to happen?" And she said, a year to 2 years. There's a time-space differential flux that is they're messing with to try and figure out a way to get what they want out of here before it burns up or becomes irradiated, or secure themselves, whatever these spirit orbs and UAPs and these UFOs are. They exist on a different dimensional gradient than we do. They're 4D. They exist in 4D and 5D, and we exist in 3D and 4D. We're not quite to 5D yet. So CERN has the ability to tap into 5D, open gateways into those realms with its experiments it's doing. But its magnets are to save the geoelectric field, the geomagnetic field. And the spikes we were getting went in the hundreds of thousands of hertz. The Schumann resonance is 7.8 hertz or something like that. So the amount of change those electrical spikes, frequency spikes were doing to us at the time of April and May is what we're going into now. And with the V thing, the adverse reactions and the deaths, we can see that this is some sort of eugenics program by the elite, and it's global. So What if CERN got hacked into and some malicious hacker knew exactly its capabilities, and so supposedly it can create solar flares on the sun and bolster our geomagnetic field at the same time. And so what if they've been playing around with this since 2012, where Monograph Channel supposedly says that CERN sent us 20 years into the future to avoid a collision with an asteroid or asteroid field. And what if we are actually, maybe living in a simulation, but a future simulation? I don't really believe in a simulation holographic theory, but all that much. But because I can feel and touch and everything's real. But you know what? Really, we exist on a frequency bandwidth of light spectrum, and what we perceive as solid isn't all that solid. When you get down to the cores of stars and the cores of large planets and stuff like that, the density and the I'd like to say gravity, but more just density. That like radiation doesn't pass through these elements, these dense materials. So CERN might be a thing if it gets hacked. What if they start hacking the nuclear weapons?
Yep.
What if they start hacking the nuclear weapons?
We've been talking about that as well, and especially if there are different things flying above our nuclear bases, which very well could be drones or something that would be able to hack kind of out of the game. What game is that? Watch Dogs, which oddly enough named Watch Dogs, where they have drones that have the capability to hack remotely through Wi-Fi and things like that. We are way past our 5 minutes, though, Mr. Mission Control. Where can we find you, and then can we link you on our website so people can find you?
Sure, I do live stream 7 o'clock, sometimes in the morning, 7 o'clock at night, Central Standard Time, Chicago time, here in the U.S. I'm located in Northwest Arkansas, Walmart headquarters territory. The data centers are really susceptible to intrusion up here. And they're old. They haven't been upgraded for 20 years. But, man, I tell you what, we are real susceptible right now, and this administration is not doing anything. It talks about infrastructure, but we need cybersecurity infrastructure or a different backup system or backup electrical grid. There are technologies out there. They've been suppressed through the patents and through things like DARPA and the NSA and the CIA and the FBI shutting people down. Like, for instance, my grandpa's neighbor made a water engine back there 50 years ago. They came and took it away from him, But we have the technology. We just have to implement it. We have to let these people that are doing it, give them proper platforms like hydrogen for power and stuff like that, electrolysis to make different elements and drugs and stuff. But man, I'll tell you what, we're so suppressed, and I can't tell. I call it the archons. These archons, you know what the archons are, right?
Yeah, like evil entity kind of matter things.
Right, and they possess people and things. So we're at war with the archons and ourselves at the same time. And so I think these entities that we see as UFOs are at war with each other too, and with us at the same time. We just can't see it.
Mr. Control, we're gonna link all of your websites, or we're gonna link your main one somewhere where we can get you, and then of course Dex has your information. So what we'll do is we'll be able to direct everybody to your site. I'm sure there's going to be people that I already saw a lot of people saying, speaking the truth, that I know that people are going to go, hey, what happened to this caller? So go to the website, marfooglenews.com. Thank you for calling in, Mr. Mission Control. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, that was Mr. Mission Control, and it sounds like he does regular podcasts and things. There was a couple places where, just to be safe, should have put a supposedly or apparently or this kind of thing in there. He did for the most part that. We just got to be careful that when you say it is something, we have to make sure to let use your own judgment. That's why I do. I'll pop this up during calls that if you're making bigger claims. I actually liked that call. That was very entertaining. That's why I was not trying to butt in. He obviously has been doing his own thing he's somebody who is a creator, somebody who has put his theories out there and things. I like hearing those kind of things too. Especially the whole CERN thing really intrigues me. As far as CERN goes, I mean, you all know there's all sorts of weird there. They have Shiva, the goddess there. Go look into just Shiva. Why do they have that there? They have openly said, some of the employees have said that they're trying to time travel and jump warp and all this. And then when you go into like the rabbit hole of Mandela effect and things that I remember being different, and I'm like, that's why when he said 20 years into the future, I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why is time seeming like it's going faster? Now, most of you actually agree with me. I know this because I did a poll about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and everybody said no. They couldn't believe I said it. People were commenting on that poll, and I said, hey, does it seem, have you noticed time moving at a different pace? And everybody's, it's moving faster. It's not just because I'm getting older. People said, I can't believe you said this. I've been thinking this and nobody talks about it. That people said that, even the kids notice it, that days are just going, just flying by. And it's not because we're having fun. People honestly feel like time is going faster. And I don't know why. But by the way, if you then go into the rabbit hole of time itself, time actually goes faster the closer you are to Earth. Did you know this? This is a scientific accepted fact. The closer you are to Earth, the faster the clock goes. It's all based off the atomic clock and everything. I'm like, there's just so much there to go down. So you guys already know. Veronica Powers, mom of 9. Thank you so much for your massive support. Thank you. $20 super chat says, think about this. After the rapture, the USA will have approximately 1/3 of its current population. China and Russia will not lose many. They are not Christian countries. They will easily rule. Oh, that's... what's funny is so Deagle report, if you are old school, you know about this. Edwin Deagle passed away, and now the Deagle report is no more. That website is gone. We have archived that on our website. If you actually type in Deagle, I believe Dex, did we end up putting an archived, do you remember when we archived that? I wonder if people could search Deagle on our website and actually go back to that show.
Yeah, we put a link to the archive that was
that's
out
what
there
I mean.
for it.
So somebody archived the prediction, and Deagle, what he did, and if you look at his life story, we did an episode and we talked about his life story, why it was kind of alarming that he was saying that he believed by 2025 we would be at about 1/3 of our current population here in the U.S. Not only that, but in the U.K. and all these other places, all of our allies. But one thing I didn't put together until just now, mostly Christian nations would be at 1/3 of our population. So was Deagle throwing in something there that was maybe biblical? I don't know. But one thing I do know is his background was in statistics. His background was in government. He had security clearance. He was under presidents. He was national security. I mean, like, the guy had a crazy life. And he passed away, and that website is now gone. So there's a lot of stuff there that's just like so weird. News from Leo for the new 19th Prez. Just subscribe. Thank you. The Train 1919. Thank you for subscribing. John Weeks. Thank you for subscribing. And Gun Girl 777. Thank you so much. Says, much love, Foogle fam. I love everyone. Thank you for stopping by. Again, make sure to put a GG in the chat for Gone Girl. You know why? Because she also goes over to other channels in the Foogle fam and supports. She actually supported Jacob Israel the other day. I just think it's really amazing that we have so many good friends, so many positive creators around us that push each other up instead of tear each other down. If I see channels tearing other channels apart, even if they deserve it, I don't usually work with them. Again, I like to work with positive channels that it's like, why are we fighting with each other? We should be pushing each other up. We should be, we have a bigger fish to fry, so to speak. Glory Ride, thank you for subscribing. John Weeks, The Train, again, Some Human. I love that. Their screen name is Some Human. Just subscribed 21 minutes ago. Jason Vanagan subscribed. Patty Farron. And then Teresa Chevalier. Chiviana Ali. Chevalier. Thank you for your support. Massive support. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting us. We are truly independent. We don't have a multi-channel network. Keep up the good work, says Don Sowersby. Bugman728, Steve M. And In Him We Win. I love that screen name too. Just subscribe. Jen Lee, Jeff Barrett, Wafflesaurus Rex, and Deborah La Pata Urello. Thank you for subscribing. Kevin F., Brett R., Robert Willis, again, thank you. So many new subscribers during the lives. I don't know if it's only because when we're live. I don't get it, but thank you everybody for joining, and thank you for the people that have shared this out. I humbly appreciate you, and thank you for getting our show out there. We only grow through sharing. We only grow through you putting this on social medias. Again, thank you for posting it on Facebooks or wherever you do. Thank you. So I brought this up when we were on the call. This could be kind of tied into the whole thing I was talking about with China and their heavenly mandate. Sinkholes have been opening up all over the place, and I did not know about the one in but I did know about the one in China. It says massive sinkholes swallow cars in and in China. Blood-chilling videos. The incident comes just days after the ground collapsed in Mexico, swallowing about 70,000 square feet of farmland and nearly causing a house to topple into the crater. 3 cars were swallowed when a huge sinkhole opened up at a parking lot outside of the Sher Zedek Medical Center in Jerusalem on Monday. It says, luckily nobody was injured. Investigators believe that a cavern appeared because of a highway tunnel project which is located beneath the medical center's building. Okay, Dex, I don't know if you know where my brain is going with this, but I'm going to give you one word. Elon, not for them, but for us, right?
Yeah, it's so boring.
Are they all? Yeah, good one. Are all these countries doing underground digging and tunnels? Because if you are new and just subscribed, we talk about how Elon is connected in many ways to Earth saving. And that might sound crazy when you hear it at first, but his space Starlink, which you can go back to our timestamp shows, I told you, we knew from military folks telling us that this is not just internet for all. This was a sensor capability kind of thing. Then 2 years after I said that, they come out and they officially say that part of Starlink, this grid of satellites that's, actually they're launching a ton, like really fast. From all the Starlink sightings where you see 60 getting launched at a time and they plan to have 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. That is also now officially part of a sensor program that will sense hypersonic objects. So that doesn't just include missiles, but that would also include asteroids or anything else coming towards Earth. So that was another trippy part about that last caller. It's like, so Starlink is connected to possibly saving us from either asteroids or hypersonic missiles. The Boring Company, his other company, their whole thing is digging tunnels, these tunnels. And you think that the Hyperloop is all that they're doing for the government? It's a company that specializes in boring holes into the ground. I mean, come on. And then Neuralink connecting the brain with a computer. Come on. Tesla making batteries for our power grid. What do you think they're preparing for? And they're trying to get us off of Earth and trying to get us to Mars, or get some of us onto Mars. Do they see something coming? If you're new and you're like, oh, this sounds crazy, look it up. Think about this stuff. Why are they all of a sudden in the last 5 years, by the way, T-Man made Space Force, and nobody's dismantling it. Nobody's even talking about dismantling Space Force. Why did they start all these missions hitting asteroids? Why did all of the countries started doing it? Why did China start building an artificial sun? Why did China start doing an artificial moon? Why are all these countries going to the moon? Why are they sending a Noah's Ark of all of our DNA samples to the moon and putting it underground in the deepest mountains? In Norway and in Sweden? Why? Why is, I believe either Norway or Sweden, one of them is putting their entire Navy back in, tunnels that they haven't used for years, straight out of 007. Why are all these things happening at the same time? Why are nuclear scientists 90 at a time out of 200 for the Chinese research development team all resigning on the same day, even though they're going to be marked by the entire entire CCP? Why? Why are there so many weird things all at once? And then, of course, CV and everything else that comes with this, the entire world on the same page for a whole year. The entire world was on the same page. That should freak people out. Bugman, thank you for subscribing. Sherry, Carol, thank you again. Brett R. 68 Heather, 68 from Canada. Thank you for the $7 Canadian. I appreciate that. And then Marky Sparky, thank you for your support. Rick Partial, thank you for subscribing. Tread, David Messick. What do you guys think about this? About sinkholes opening up all over the world? It's pretty creepy. CCTV footage shared online shows the moment that the cars and several trees disappeared into the sinkhole. Another sinkhole recently opened up in the middle of an intersection in China's Jiangxi province. Now think about the mandate of heaven and what they were thinking when things like this happen. It says a video shared on Twitter shows the moment a car drove straight into the sinkhole. On the road, the driver was rescued by other motorists and was hospitalized with minor injuries, according to local authorities. The crater in the road was caused by heavy rains that led to a softening of the asphalt. Okay, so actually, that if it truly was that heavy of a rain, that's a torrential downpour. That's something like straight out of, mandate of heaven type stuff. Let's see here. Here's some of the we've got a tweet here of some of this. This is freaky stuff here. Check this out. Look at that. Car just disappears. Plumes of smoke popping out of the ground. Imagine eating your lunch, watching your Netflix Ip Man 2 or something. And then boom, just gone. Bam. Bye-bye. So it's not just there, though. It's all over the world. So why? It's kind of like the trumpets, right? Here's another... here's a drone feature of this hole that opened up. Very, very freaky here. This is Mavic or something. It looks like a DJI product flying over the hole. That is incredibly freaky. Here are people standing next to this massive, massive hole here. Well, at least the handicap spot is still there. They don't have to repaint. And I wouldn't stand there. Would you? Freaky deaky. All right, and then back to this. New Yorkers are watched by more than 15,000 surveillance cameras. Even as debates continue about pervasive government monitoring our lives, surveillance technology is becoming more sophisticated and pervasive. New York City residents in just 3 boroughs live and work under the watchful gaze of over 15,000 cameras. The New York City Police Department has the ability to run the images they capture through software that matches faces and identities. This is what we called 2 or 3 years ago. Though not always reliably, the result is not just a loss of privacy for those under constant scrutiny, but also the potential for confrontations with law enforcement. It says quote, the New York Police Department, the NYPD, has the ability to track people in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx by running images of 15,280 surveillance cameras into invasive and discriminatory facial recognition software. That was, of course, Amnesty International saying that it is that way. It says thousands of volunteers from around the world participated in the investigations, tagging 15,280 surveillance cameras at intersections across Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, with most of them in Brooklyn. So one thing that I would, it's like you get in an accident, in my state, you get in an accident where somebody else is clearly at fault. You can't even get that footage. They're using it for something else now, I believe. And I believe even locally here in Washington, they're using it for something else. But say, you don't have a dash cam, somebody T-bones you, it's completely their fault or something where it's debatable, right? And there's no witnesses. Well, there's a traffic cam right there. You try to get access to it. They'll say, no, that's only for this or that. It's like, why do they have them then? In New York, though, on top of this, we covered 2 years ago, and nobody believed some of the people on the internet talking about this, that they were making these special facial recognition cameras. In fact, do you remember the weird devices and the weird poles that went up in, I believe, Manhattan? Those should be all but confirmed that those are facial recognition algorithm computers that are looking at every face. Now it's becoming more public. Those devices and those poles were basically hidden, too. It's not like they were out. They were made into some piece of art, but people said they looked like cameras. Well, pretty much tell you. Oh, and they costed over $1 million each. And everybody's like, why does it cost so much? Now we know why. Probably because they're an advanced system to track every single person in New York. New York is the new Beijing. Amazon is about to share your internet connection with neighbors. Here's how to turn it off. It says there's an eyebrow-raising technology buried inside millions of Amazon Echo smart speakers and Ring security cameras. They have the ability to make a new kind of wireless network called Sidewalk that shares a slice of your home internet connection with your neighbor's devices. This is something we also called the Internet of Things, the connection to every device. Dex, I would like you to weigh in on this, being our tech expert. How would they do this, do you think? And then what do you think about this? And again, can you? So
they're doing their own wireless. They're doing a version of their own wireless protocol, and making what's called a mesh network, and it goes really far. So it expands. It will allow their devices and connectivity to be widely available, especially in urban areas and even suburban areas. And it, I think it uses 900 megahertz or something like that, but it does piggyback off of your internet, right? And so the real problem is, like, nobody knew this was happening. Nobody was given permission. They didn't let you opt in. They just sort of threw it upon you. And
doesn't that cause a security concern though, as well?
Yeah,
or
I mean, we don't know how secure their network is, right? And will there be vulnerabilities to get through their mesh network that can allow somebody to gain access into your network? I mean, presumably it should be built not to do that, but we don't know. We don't know any of those things. So it's a little different than, say, Comcast and the modems. When you put a Comcast modem in, it automatically creates an Xfinity network that other people can use, but that's not piggybacking on your network. It's piggybacking off of their wire that they put to your house, right? And so it's not like stealing bandwidth from you. It's just their service they're providing everywhere they have an access point. So it's a little different, right? This is very much more invasive, I think, in my opinion. It feels that way because you didn't necessarily opt into it. They're turning it on for everybody out of the blue. And now it does have a whole lot of good uses. I mean, like, you'll be able to use certain devices and things like that when you're walking around in your backyard, or you take a walk in the neighborhood and but then there's also like, what does it mean to like all the Ring doorbells that are out there and surveillance, and
is this not what we
call looking into it, right?
Is
so
this
like, do
okay?
they get more access?
So now most people, since this has been seeded into your brain, you just assume that facial recognition and Ring cameras, that's like a thing now, right? Because they put seeds. If you watched my show long enough, before there was ever the idea of facial recognition with Ring and any of these cameras or any of the Internet of Things, we were talking about this because patents came out from Amazon that said that they were going to add facial recognition into their Ring software. And then, of course, that was patented, and all these other companies did it as well. And what they were also doing at that time is they were testing 7-Elevens and places like this where they connected and even paid 7-Elevens and residents to directly volunteer to connect their Ring camera to the police station, so the police could access not only the traffic camera, but they could also access your front door. So I said back then, well, imagine where this goes in the future. Say you have a Christmas party and your 19-year-old daughter's boyfriend comes over and he's got a warrant. All of a sudden you have SWAT team coming in on you because he has a failure to appear because your Ring doorbell camera spotted him, facial recognized him, and alerted the police, and you didn't even ask for permission. They didn't even ask for permission to get it. That's where it is not only going, it is now there, and we called it because of those patents. And those patents were given to us by Foogle Fam. You guys are always on top of this as well. It's like we go with your gut. And, people are doing these things because they're convenient, but this convenience is going to be, this is the end of privacy as we know it. And, most of us say the privacy's already gone. It's really gone. And everybody was okay when Snowden came out and said that the government was watching because they're like, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. But what about when your favorite officer down the street, or maybe your least favorite officer down the street, can access it? Or somebody that's just administration at the office is looking into your living room, bedroom display. And this is where it's going, because some people don't put the Ring. They'll put a Ring camera in their living room, and they don't decipher. They might even leave it on the default and say it's front door. Well, then the software might tell it that it's accessible to the police station, or they even voluntarily just give them access. This is where it is not only headed, it's now there, and we called it because of information from you guys. So good job, everybody in the Foogle fam. You are what makes the show. Vault 111, hope you are doing well. Always praying for you, and that will continue to share us the truth. Thank you, Vault 111. Again, if you guys haven't checked out, has a music channel over on DLive. Vault 111, thank you again for your support. Jeannie F. Chandler, Defrustrated, says that's why Amazon and others went down early AM. Pretty crazy. And the Internet of Things, once it's all connected, and once we have Li-Fi, if you don't know what Li-Fi is, look up Li-Fi. That's LED Wi-Fi. So soon, all of the lights around you, including the bathroom lights in the mall, say those lights above the mirror, those will be your source of Internet. It's supposedly faster than Wi-Fi, and it could be at street lights. It could be everywhere. So it could come down from Starlink, it could go into street lights, and then it could distribute the stuff from there. When they have that, they'll be able to get from all of your smart devices in your home, even if you have not a single camera, they'll be able to do kind of a Batman type thing where they know exactly where you are in your house, along with smart meters and everything else. And this sounds like some sort of crazy kooky, like, oh, that guy's nuts. But this is really what they're working on. DARPA, NSA, all these different things that are tied into this, they're all working on that. So they know what's happening on every single inch of this planet. You say, oh, well, there's third world countries that don't have any of that. That is why the Starlink and the Internet for All thing, that's purely so they can grab data and track more people. The Banking for All Act, that is kicking in, where they have every transaction digital. That's why I believe we are seeing the move to all digital currency. get people used to not using cash, not using coinage. Scary thought. Scary reality. Lisa K23, I'm glad to be a late adopter of tech. I bet a lot of people are, but it's like you're the odd one out now, especially with the what do you call it? The you'll hear this when you go somewhere. No passport. You coming with me. No passport. You coming with me. No passport. You're coming with me. Freaky deaky. This just in, President Macron slapped in the face during France tour. Wow, that guy had a suicide wish. Look at this. This is absolutely insane. Okay, so check this out. Holy moly. President Slap On. Oh, buddy. I think that's French for you got no. Ow. Oh. Wait, can it? I know this is French. Oh. But did they really have? Did you just take the S out there? Gendarmerie, Pazig. Maybe that's why they call them that. The Pazigs are here. The Pazigs. It smells like Pazigs. I actually, I support 90% of police. I think they got a bad rap over the last year and a half. And since all of us treated them so nicely, they're going to really respond fast when we really have issues. In fact, reminder, I did put that out there. If you are a police officer or a sheriff, if you're local here in Washington and want to interview, I would love to talk to you. I would honestly, absolutely love an interview because I know what is going on here. I know what is happening with this free-for-all that's happening. I would love somebody to actually come forward and say what is actually happening. Dex, let's go over here, and it looks like we have Minerkle. Is it Minerchel? I don't know how to say that. Our next caller.
Yeah, and there's an article and a lot of photos, so make sure
I got the article already. Russia deploys decoy army of inflatable tanks, missiles, and fighter jets to trick the West amid Ukraine tensions. What the heck? Let's get Minarkle, first-time caller, and has some links here and some pictures.
He should be live.
Yes, gotcha. Hey, Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So what's happening? They're deploying a decoy army of inflatable tanks?
Oh, yes. So this is the recent one. So the first video is a recent, and the second one's about some years ago. So the thing is with this one is Russia apparently, they're one of them. So Russia has been doing some sort of inflatable tanks, a full decoy set in the east side of Ukraine as a means of fooling their enemies. However, there's something bigger to this to me. So I've noticed a lot in World War II. There's been a lot of that same exact decoying around the areas of northern France, around, in a sense, D-Day, but in a whole other area. And a lot of it also went in with the United States when they were within combat against Germany and, the second of the double W's and all. But the thing is, I'm getting to this bigger picture, and I can't help but notice that event, along with possibly the one before that, may be a double H, double X, if you understand what I mean. And this isn't to offend anyone. It's just Like, I mean, the men in green, they do wonderful work. However, these events by, our Bricklayers Association and a lot of these symbol associations, a lot of them just seem to have, let's just say they managed to plot this out and, interfere with history.
Oh no! I mean, there's a lot going on that's right below the surface, and people can see it with their own eyes. They don't believe that they're right, and they would rather. It's much easier to believe whatever's being said out loud, and everybody's going, yeah. I see. Yeah, that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, most of them look through news details, and they think that every single detail per minute, like say Fox News or MSNBC or even that of OANN, they think that's fact. However, you have to read between the lines because sometimes they may be fooling you at times.
I can't believe some of these pictures. I mean, this isn't the eccentric guy doing Christmas lights at Christmas time. This is Russia with professional inflatables made to look like military gear. This is incredible.
No, it is. It is.
Wow, that's a lot cheaper than making the real thing.
No, it is. I mean, you think about it, because you would think that most of our military forces, I mean, for us, like the ones that are on the, the regular side of the perspective, within the black screen and all, you would think that they would be building far more advanced stuff to combat their enemies. You would be thinking that, hey, they're going to use a full jet and just knock people out, or just go all out, just bare bones and just get to the AR already. However, in this case, no, they did not do that at all. They just used their own air straight out of their lungs and just kind of blew away, I mean, for a few hours. And wow, man, they basically just kind of something like Niccolo Machiavelli. I mean, never accomplish with force what you can accomplish by deception.
These are incredible photos here, and again, that's pretty amazing that they got such clear shots of all of this, and it's like great catch on all of this. So do you think that they did this? Can I ask you about the Ukraine border? Do you think that most of the stuff that they brought down there, do you think that those were inflatables, or do you think that that was the real deal?
Well, I mean, the first time they did it was possibly more or less parade style, because keep in mind when Russia did take Crimea and made it back theirs again, they had a full parade of actual soldiers and all that. So the thing is, I'm not saying everything's fake. I mean, that would be a big fallacy on that part. However, they did have a full parade. They actually started looking over the area. They secured it, and they managed to get it for themselves. But I mean, in a lot of cases, I mean, it's possible a lot of the encounters may have been inflatables in that case.
No. So, like,
and this could be within the past couple of years.
Okay, so you know what freaks me out about this, though, is what if they set this up, satellite photos, if you are in an actual conflict, you pump these up, and your enemy puts their real tanks to go defeat inflatables. Meanwhile, the real thing is somewhere else. Maybe they're using this because they do know that they're outnumbered. But when you send all of your tanks to an area to defeat an inflatable, all of a sudden then you've left somewhere else open where they really have the tanks. I don't know. This actually is more alarming to me than relieving.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong there. I mean, they really could be hiding something. However, there's those decoys could be used just to look like a big force. But that UAV, that sort of flying drone, is not only looking at the wrong area, but also at the wrong exact picture. So that means they're missing something, and they just got duped out of full capacity.
And they say that these are identical, nearly identical, and oh, wow. Wait a second. And it also has the same radiation background so that the enemy does not notice the deception. Wow. The Rust Ball.
Indeed. I mean, they are advanced like that.
Wow. The company behind the blow-up forces said that the cost of fooling the enemy is a fraction of buying the real weaponry. Among the armory is what looks like a MiG-31, Su-27 fighters under the cover of an anti-aircraft missile system at a mock covert airfield in the forest. Wow, this is unbelievable.
Yes. No, it really is. I mean, again, I can't help but just get to that bigger picture and figure whether the past events have been like that too. Because this makes a lot of connections. And yes, I mean that I'm for sure a couple Ukraos got fooled by that. I mean, if you're a Ukro per se and you were trying to get to that hated country that's just next to it, I mean, all of a sudden you would just, if you were to just touch it and find out that no, it was nothing more than a bunch of latex and a bunch of mere backgrounds, yeah, you would be kind of pissed, wouldn't you not?
Well, yeah, and I think most of this is for satellite, though, and for radar. I mean, think about that. That could cause a retreat. There's many uses for this, and of course, yeah, it's cheaper than the real thing. I just wonder if they're getting ready for something else, and they're going to use this as a distraction. They can pump these up with real ones. Say if you have 4 tanks going into an area and then your intelligence flies above and says, hey, there's 40 tanks here. We're outnumbered. We have no chance here. Then we retreat, even though we're actually retreating against some wacky waving inflatable Russian tube guys. Pretty impressive.
Yes, by those metrics, yes, that would be highly damning, and as a result, either the person in charge would have to forfeit, or they'd have to risk what they thought was the entire force. So from there on out, I mean, yeah, there's no doubt that could smack you dry.
What if you had to surrender because of these things? What if they put their white flag up and surrendered, and they all walk across the line, and they get them in handcuffs, and then they realize, oh my gosh, these are inflatable. I could see something like that happening in the next conflict. This is really weird stuff. I never would have thought about. I would think of this with NK, but now we have, of course, China doing stuff that possibly NK would do, and now we have Russia doing stuff. I mean, this goes perfect with tonight's show. Thank you so much for calling in on this.
Hey, no problem, Marfa. Just needed to share that wonderful slice of deception right in front of your eyes. And by the way, not to be this guy or anything, but I run a small Telegram page that's going by @via Minarchy. So each word is uppercase on one end, and the has 2 E's on it. So in case you can't find that, the group would be called Faith of Minarchy, and oftentimes I just have a few group mates, and I just post stuff that is both deception, manipulation, and even that of, how should I say, just propaganda wars outright, and even stuff that you thought was real or was really nothing more than a complete facade.
Well, don't worry about that. And folks, don't worry about remembering what he just said. Go to marfooglenews.com under the caller information. In fact, I'll show you right now. Dex is updating this live, so the last 2 callers should have been on there already. If you go to the very bottom under the Too Hot for TV web content, you will see there's a caller section, and under that caller section will be, in fact, let me refresh, minor, how do I say it? Minorcal?
Minarcal.
Minorical, and they will all be on there with their information.
Is Minarcal Fate.
So this is actually their information. Dex, can we get his?
Yeah, if you can, Minarcal, if you can text me your Telegram, just send me that text back, and I'll put it on the website so people can find it. And Adam, there's less than 2 minutes left.
All right, thank you so much. Well, Minarcal, thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Thank you very much, Adam.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out.
Hey, you too, Marf. Bye.
All right. We have 2 hours here on YouTube before it totally screws up the processing of the video. So I will say number 1 tonight, Gone Girl 777 PRS. Thank you so much. If you want to watch the shoutro, which is where I say the credits of the show, your names, you can also subscribe to Marfoogle Jams. The live chat will actually continue there. Again, thank you everybody for being here. Dex, thank you so much for your help tonight. And thank you everybody over on DLive, the top people over there. Again, we will be putting that, and we'll probably shout you out tomorrow as well. Kelly2334, Kishara, everybody over there, thank you so very much. Just to say a quick thank you. Let's see here. Top contributors over there, Vault1111, and then AR15 and Kelly2334. Top 3 are going to get a silly song of satisfaction. And then Gone Girl 777 over on YouTube. Thank you so much. All right, guys, have a good night. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.